Hey guys, we're going to show you how to clean some crappies here today. Now keep in mind, this is just the way I do it, so you could do it a little bit different, or somebody you know might do it a little bit different. So for these guys, being that the whole family's eating it, I got the kids eating it, I got the wife eating it, they want boneless. So we're going to do fillets today with no bones on it and no skin. If you want your skin on there, you could still scale your fish, then take your fillet off, and that way you could keep your skin on it. So one thing I like to do is kind of prep my work area. So I got a Rapala electric fillet knife, and I like long blades when I fillet my fish. Even if they're small fish, I prefer a longer blade. Another thing I got is just some skin pullers. Now these are like the ones you use for skinning catfish, but these are really good for taking off the fins and little bones. Of course, a scaling tool. Now I got an old school fillet knife here, and I also got a cleaver. Sometimes that cleaver is nice to cut through bones, fins, or dehead your fish. Of course, I got my cutting board, and then my 2 pots right here. So I like a 1 pot or bowl or whatever it is you got for the head and the guts of the fish. And if you put a little bit of water in there, when you go to dump it out, all that nastiness is going to come out of your container a lot easier. It'll be less cleanup. And then of course I got my bowl here. So I already got a few fish cleaned up. So I kind of separate my bowl a little bit here. So I got fillets on one side, and then something that you guys might not have seen is this right here. So when you fillet your 2 sides of your fish, you have the center line. This center line actually has quite a bit of meat left on it. And of course you got your fins and your tail on there. But now if you guys fry these up, season them up really good, these are pretty good to gnaw on. Might not be like a whole big meal, but it's definitely something that's tasty. So let's pull a fish out and we'll get started here. So of course this electric knife here, it's going to be a little bit noisy. But now when you first do your first cut into your fish, don't do it at a straight 90-degree angle. Make sure you come in at an angle, because right here behind the head is 2 really good sized nuggets of fish, and you don't want to be losing those. So you want to come down till you hit the bone, the spinal cord in the middle, turn your fillet knife, and then start working towards the tail. One of the things that I do is I pay attention to both sides of the fish and try to make sure that the knife is right where I want it on both sides. So we want to cut down here at an angle and make sure that you don't lose that nugget on the back. Now I don't go all the way through on the tail. I stop right before I get to the tail and flip that fillet over. And you can see we got that down to the bone. That looks pretty good. And again, you need to watch the angle of your knife. So if you cut down too hard, you're going to go through the skin and the scales. So you want to try to follow that along the best you can. So there's one fillet right there. And you can see we didn't lose nothing on that skin. Now this skin here, I want to take this off of the tail. We'll get rid of that. Flip our fish over. We'll do the same thing again on the other side. Cut down at an angle till you hit that backbone. And then we'll flip that fillet over. Now you can take your fillet knife too and cut at the end of the belly here and on the top. So this piece of fish right here, a lot of people throw this away, but there's actually quite a bit of meat on there, even though it's transparent. But you guys could fry this up and it'll taste really good. So we got to get rid of this rib cage now. So in these smaller crappie, you could cut this as a V and just take the ribs out completely, or you could try scooping it out. And sometimes you could get it where you'll save a little bit of belly meat. So you can see here, we got a little bit of belly meat we kept on that. We'll try to do it again. And so even on these smaller crappies, it takes a little bit of practice, but you could scoop those ribs out. And this is 100% boneless here. There's no bones in that. But at least that way you get the belly meat. So we're going to rinse this guy off and we'll do another one. So we're just going to run through this process again. You want to cut at an angle till you hit that backbone. Now, one thing that I see is people are trying to rush their fillet knives too much. Just let that knife do the work for you. Get to that tail, flip it over. We almost went through there a little bit, or we did go through there a little bit, but that's not bad. Make that cut down. Make sure you save that nugget behind the head. And just try to watch that angle. You can feel that knife when it starts to bite too deep. We'll take this skin off here. Again, we're going to try to scoop them ribs out. And sometimes I get it perfect just like that one, sometimes I don't. The only thing you could do for that is just keep on practicing. Now in this body here, cut through that belly and top of the head again, right behind the top of the head. Now this blood on this fish here, you want to make sure you get all that blood rinsed off your fish. Now if you got a little bit of blood left on your meat still, you could put a little salt in your water, and that salt will help draw the rest of that blood out. We'll rinse our fillets off here. They're trying to slide away on me. Another thing I like about the electric fillet knife is, like, I got a whole cooler of fish here to clean, and I find this fillet knife just to be a lot faster. I do like scaling my fish sometimes, but when you got a lot of numbers to go through, this will do it for you a little bit faster. That's a good fillet right there. I always seem to be a little bit faster one hand versus the other. One side's a little bit more difficult usually. That's a good looking fillet there, guys. So I know right off the bat, these Rapala knives, they're pretty expensive. This is a cheap one. It's still running like 50, 60 bucks. But on the flip side, I've had that guy for like 12, 15 years, and it still works just fine. So if you don't want to spend the money on that, a good fillet knife will get the job done. But it's the same technique here. We'll cut down till you hit that bone, and then turn it sideways. Now, if you got a good fillet knife, it'll take a little bit of effort, but you could cut through the bones on this crappie still. Okay, so it's the same technique. We just cut through those bones in the rib cage. And this way you don't need no electric, you don't need no batteries. Just sharpen your knife and you're good to go. It's not as loud. And so same thing, we're using the exact same technique. We'll cut that skin off, and that's right down to the bone, guys. We're not wasting nothing here. And I don't believe in wasting, that's why I keep that center of that fish as well. So we'll do the same technique, cut down till you hit that bone. And we'll start coming through those ribs now. We'll flip that fish over. And you guys can see, it's the same process either side, it don't matter. Just gotta practice until you get good at it. We'll take that skin off. Cut that off. Now in my body of my fish here, we're keeping this, right? So I don't want to take my really good sharp fillet knife and go hacking through bones as little as I have to. You know, we don't want to dull our knife down. That's where that cleaver comes in. We'll cut that head off, toss that to the side. So now we still got our rib cage in here, right? You guys can hear that? It's the same technique. Follow those ribs down. These ain't coming out as easy for me. So I'm gonna V-cut these instead. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you could scoop them out. Sometimes you're gonna have to do that V-cut. Sometimes when your fillet knife is too sharp like this one, it wants to grab onto those rib bones and pull them out. So you guys can see this here, and this is with a fillet knife, obviously. No bones in there. And you saved your belly meat. So I got one more technique for you guys on how to clean your crappies, and this is going to be the whole body and scaling it. But I do mine a little bit different than some people. So now this is a really small crappie. It's like the size of a big bluegill. But on the flip side, if you're fishing for dinner, or if you got the kids with you and the kids catch a fish, they feel bad when you're keeping fish and you throw theirs back. So we got a small crappie here, but I'm gonna show you guys how to clean this and you'll still get a lot of meat off of it. So we're gonna start off by scaling this fish. Don't start scaling with your knife. Yes, you could get that done, but use the proper tool for the job and it's gonna go a lot better for you. This thing is probably more than twice as fast as trying to do it with a spoon or a butter knife or something like that. So we're gonna take the scales off and it's already done. It's that fast. The next thing I'm gonna do, now this is a little bit different. Right down the back and the belly here, I'm gonna cut on both sides of this fin. And I'm not gonna stop here. I'm gonna go all the way up to the back of the head. And I'm also gonna do that on the belly here. I'm gonna go all the way from the back of this tail fin, or this belly fin, up to his belly. So a lot of people, they're gonna cut the head off, gut it out, and call it done. But by doing this technique here, when we grab this fin and we pull it, look at all these bones that you guys just took out. All these bones are things you'd have to pick through when you're trying to eat it. And you look at the fish here, you didn't lose any meat. All you did was take those bones out. We'll cut the head off here. And again, make sure you go at an angle so you're not losing this chunk of meat here. I'd rather lose a little bit of belly meat versus that back meat there. We'll make a little cut here on its belly. And we could just grab those guts, take them out. Now grab this belly fin and pull this out. Again, that's a huge amount of bone that would have been left in the bottom here. Now all you got to do is rinse this thing off and it's completely cleaned, but you're going to have a whole lot less bones than you would have if you left those fins in there. All right guys, so check this out. We got our entire crappie here. We got the whole body, and this is like for a smaller crappie. And we also showed you guys how to fillet your crappies. Now this is all white meat, all boneless, no skin on there. It's gonna be really good for the table fare. And try these out here, guys. These are really good. They don't look like much. You wouldn't think about keeping these, but they turn out to be really good. Now these are proven tactics on how to clean your fish. They're gonna work for you every time. Even though you might do it a little bit different, that's okay. Do whatever works best for you guys. In my Amazon link down below, I'm gonna leave some fillet knives and some fish cleaning equipment. Check it out. It's good equipment. It's things that I use on the daily. You guys might want to use it as well. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.